Welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to show you how I decorated for Halloween 2023. I like to decorate about 10 days before Halloween. I don't go decorating really early, and I know I'm late to the YouTube party, but I hope you get some inspiration from this video. I'm going to show you and walk you through some of the DIYs I did this year. So I hope you enjoy this video. Give it a thumbs up if you do, and let's get started. First thing I wanted to address was my table scape. So I took out all the candles that I had in my home, added them at different heights using some books I had on hand, and really making sure I had that down before I started adding this white moss that I found at the dollar store. Each pack was 20 crowns. I added it all around the candles and some books, just really trying to give it a base and making it look a little bit more spooky. Last year I created a witchy Halloween theme, so I used the green moss, but this year I wanted to go a little bit more spookier. My kids are a little older, they can handle it, so I wanted to do that instead this year, so I opted for this white moss. I'm sure you'll be able to get it at the dollar store wherever you are living as well. And these skulls I picked up also at the dollar store. There were 6 in a pack, and I really liked them. They were a good size to have on the table, and they would also be a really great size to use for a DIY. They had a hole on the top, so if you're looking for any skeleton skulls really to use for DIYs, I would head on over to the dollar store. Once I had all of them nestled in, I started using things I had randomly around the house, like this antler, and just continued building my tablescape. This black skull my kids got a few years ago with some sweets in it. I've kept it, and I've added some black and added in my black kettle, as well as these bones that I bought last year from the dollar store. Now I wanted to add in this sort of cream of white color, which is really the theme I was going for this year as well with the candles. I've got some dark brown candles. These ones I found at the dollar store. I really liked them. They had a really beautiful texture to them and a lovely color. And then I just needed to light all the candles. We had some friends over for dinner actually that night, and it really was a lovely setting. Now whenever you're making a tablescape like this, you want to make sure that your candles are set in between so that when people are chatting they don't get disturbed. I added some bats, as you can see, on the ceiling. Really easy to do with some glue tack. Hopefully they won't fall on the table, but it really made for a lovely setting. So the next thing I tackled was my flying skeleton. I had an idea in my head that I wanted to do something that looked like it was floating, and what I did was I just opened the box of stuff that I had for Halloween. I don't buy things. I like to use things, reuse them every year, and see how I can create new things, and which is really fun for me. The only thing I bought for this was the fisherman's twine. So basically what you do is you buy one of these skulls from the dollar store. It has to be a very light skull. That's why I like these skulls from the dollar store, because they're so light. Once I had the skull, I just tied the twine around the skull, and as you can see here at the bottom there is a sort of ridge. It really holds the twine well, because if you've used fisherman's twine, you know it can get slippery on plastic. So I used my hot glue gun and I glued a little bit on it as well, just to keep everything sturdy, and then I tied it to that lamp there. It looks really lovely. And then on top of that I used my glue gun and I pasted the net. It was an old net curtain that I had, tucked them behind that door, you can see, and it was just beautiful. It turned out really great. The next DIY I tackled was this hanging skeleton. I had all the material that I had before last year from the dollar store. I had a hanger, so what I would recommend doing is using one of these velvet hangers, because that's really going to help the cloth or whatever it is you're using, whether it's a curtain or a cloth. In my case I used this piece of cloth that came in with a board that I bought last year, but it really sat well on the velvet hanger. It didn't fall off, it really stuck. I didn't need to use any glue as well. You could use the hands. Now I had these hands on hand, and the head, I had a hole at the bottom, so I just tucked it into the hook of the hanger. It sat beautifully with a little noose, and then I just hung it up. This was actually the board that the cloth came on last year. I took it off and I used it on my tablescape last year. This year I'm using it on a hanger to create a hanging skeleton. This is the third DIY I did. I wanted to create a sort of feature when you walked in through the door. Now I used the exact same skull. I had a black mosquito net that I had from when my kids were little. I saved that. I used the twine again, hanging it on a hook from the ceiling, doing the same concept with the twine, but this time I had to use some twine towards the end there, attaching it to the existing twine and pulling it to one of the antlers because I wanted to turn the face towards the front door. It really worked out beautifully. I have a command hook there that I normally have a wreath on. I just attached the net to that. Then this net is really something, the bag that all the bones and the skeletons came in. I cut it, I added that with some hot glue and some of these black flowers that I also bought at the dollar store. Now these flowers did have a skeleton in it. I took them off. I didn't like them, but as you can see, things that I used last year, I'm just recycling them and trying to find new fun ways to reuse them. I absolutely loved it. My husband thought it was so fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed creating some new DIYs with my old existing Halloween decor. Really got my creative juices flowing. I hope you get some ideas from this video. The only thing that I really recommend getting for any of these DIYs are these skulls from the dollar store. They are very light and they're really, really easy to work with. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. Join me next week for my Halloween tour. It will come out on Halloween and you can have a look at the ginormous pumpkin that my husband has bought this year to carve. Don't forget to follow me on my shorts. I will be putting some short videos out almost every single day. And with all that said, thank you for joining me and I'll see you next week.